Welcome to another episode of Health Your Way podcast, where we discuss health issues ranging from physical, mental, emotional, as well as current facts. Today, we're going to be talking about how to keep your mental health in check while we're going through this current pandemic. So my guest today is Renee Raymond. I welcome her back again. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And she's a registered psychotherapist. So we're going to be discussing about your mental health in respects to, again, how we're all experiencing COVID-19. So I think for a lot of people, first of all, people may think that they're okay. How does one, I guess the question is, what are some of the signs that we should be recognizing in ourselves, as well as maybe family or friends, that you can tell that are struggling with this current situation that we're going through?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's probably important to start with mentioning that we are dealing with a pandemic. And
Okay.
so it's quite normal that people are feeling stressed, that they're really, feeling maybe sometimes down, or they might really be anxious about what's happening. So normalizing the fact that that will likely happen to most, if not all of us. But in terms of your question with where someone might be struggling, so this is where they may be in a particular level of distress where it's outside of the norm, whatever the norm may be for the situation. So you do want to watch out for, if certain family members, you're not hearing from them, if they're saying things to you that are letting you know that they're in a lot of distress right now, they're feeling really isolated, they're not really sounding like themselves currently. They may actually just flat out express to you that they're really struggling with what's happening right now. So doing some check-ins with people around you and people that are close to you, or even people that you haven't heard from in a while, might tip you off as to whether this is just normal stress related to the event or if it might be something more.
And I think this is great advice, because a lot of us are focused on ourselves, and sometimes we forget that other people are going through certain things, and you just maybe saying hi or touching base with those people that might be living by themselves, or just even family friends that may just want to hear a nice voice saying hi, how are you doing? Again, like we're doing the Zoom thing, just a regular communication over the phone if you can't really physically go see them. And I think a lot of people may not even know what are some of the psychological effects that could happen or does occur in a situation like this.
Yeah, so stress is probably going to be one that's really high. We're not used to being inside all the time. Even for people who worked from home and did a lot of things at home or are homebodies, this is really outside of the norm.
For me. Yes.
So stress, feelings of depression, if you're with family that you were not spending as much time with 24/7, or you're not able to see even some family or friends in the way that you did before, anxiety would probably be high, and also just feeling isolated and really detached from what's happening. That could be another key piece.
I think with that being said, what are some of the recourses for people that are experiencing that kind of those signs or those effects itself? Like I know a lot of people that I don't know them personally, but there's people that are single or by themselves, and they are in their own little box. And there's people that are married and have kids, and then there's a lot of it's just a lot of stress factors, as you said. So what are some of the recourses can help them manage those stress factors?
Yeah, so this is, I've been saying this to a lot of the people I've been speaking to over the last couple of weeks, is really to check in with yourself and see what you're needing, because it can very much fluctuate from day to day. But trying to put in some sort of schedule, like framework. We're used to routines, and even for the ones of us that are pretty fluid with our routines, like you may not be waking up at the same time that you used to. You're probably going to bed a lot later than you might be used to. Some of the activities that you're doing during the day or even want to do during the day may not look the way that you'd like them to, especially if you, let's say, have family. You may not be able to sort of come and go and do your hobbies as normal, but starting to etch out, like, what are some key things that I could do to normalize my day? Exercise is definitely a big factor that could be really helpful. It's a natural mood boost. It's good for our health overall. And so finding some time to do some medium to vigorous exercise throughout the day can be a really good staple. If you're by yourself, there are online like Zoom workouts that are happening that could be really good to join in with and see other people and feel like you're part of a community. If you're with your family, looking at even like a family exercise thing that you could do together. It could be dance. And And then also just taking time to see like other things that are enjoyable to you, and stripping away maybe a little bit of just finding activities that you like doing where you're like, I'm not sure if I really want to do that right now, and just stripping it down to like, what do you find enjoyable about those activities? So let's say you like, like you like going out to take photos of different things, like you're a photographer,
Oh,
you like
nice.
spending time doing that. Can you take even photos within your house around just like where it's safe to walk around your neighborhood, and just play around with like different camera angles? So trying to just find little things to spend some time doing, things that are fulfilling to us, can help to make this situation a little bit easier to manage.
And I appreciate that, because I didn't really think about that. There's a lot of ways to finding. I think the main thing I got from you was structure. And if you structure your day on a day-to-day basis, that helps you plan. Because even then, finding little things that make you happy. If you're isolated, as you said, get out. If there's a Zoom out there or some kind of group, Facebook group, or some kind of people, or even talking to your friends through this form of medium, so you can see somebody and feel like you're not alone, right? And unfortunately, like even for people that have constant people 24/7 and they're used to having their little bit of freedom, I guess is finding, your you time. Like, I don't know, because the reason why I say this, because I've seen people in parking lots park their car there and just they fall asleep and they sleep there. And I think that's helping them, because again, I don't think everybody spends that much time with their husbands or wives or girlfriends or boyfriends or kids, because you usually just ship them away to go to school and you get a little break. You do. So I think a lot of things is unfortunately, the reason why I'm talking about this is you hear a lot of things about mental issues or domestic abuse, or a lot of people are getting depression. And I think having this conversation with you is just those suggestions you give it, have you provided, can help somebody hold back, or realize that they're struggling as well, and maybe seeking help out. So I guess, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, and definitely with what you said about finding that you time, it's something that it has to be very intentional right now, and it will probably be harder to find in some certain situations. But like you said, if escaping to your car and just spending some time, even like driving around right now, if you're okay to do so, it could be really like just refreshing to get out. Staying in the bathroom and taking an extra long shower may not be a bad thing. You're able to just carve out some of those niches, or making sure that the other people in your household have something to do to keep them occupied even, and giving them, some structure for their own selves that allows you to have that space and time just to yourself.
And I appreciate it. I think for a lot of people, if they're seeking assistance, because there's so much information about mental health out there, I think it's like, where do they start? I guess you can start, where do they start in seeking out assistance in some of the issues that they're struggling with this current pandemic, mental health pandemic?
So and that's a great support too right now, because sometimes just to be able to talk to someone else or work through some of those feelings, you might need the assistance of someone else to be able to help you manage your very unique situation. So many therapists, like I know definitely with registered psychotherapists, a lot of us are working remotely and doing video therapy sessions or phone therapy sessions. So taking a look at some online directories and seeing like Psychology Today is a pretty big resource, and seeing which therapists are offering distance services that could be helpful in sort of managing things in the immediate. If you are still though having more serious challenges with your mental health, there are crisis lines, like crisis text lines, like Kids Help Phone has a crisis text line, and some other supports. And in a really urgent or emergency situation, you can still see a therapist in person, depending on where that practice is. So looking and reaching out and just starting to, even if you just need to do a consultation with someone to get a better sense of maybe what you specifically need for your needs, that could be a good place to start.
No, and I appreciate it. I don't think I realized that myself, because it's not like I don't struggle. Everybody struggles to a certain extent. Like, everybody has different level of struggleness, if that's even a word. But I'm just like, I guess it's just, you don't realize. And when you hear the stories of those people that, maybe taking their lives, or, people that you can tell that people are struggling more when they're with their kids all the time, or even when they're not with anybody and they're isolated, that there is a mental there's a mental effect that's occurring because of this current pandemic. And I think you mentioned that there's online services in respects to a psychotherapist. So if somebody wants to reach out for your service, do you offer online services? And if so, what sets you apart from other registered psychotherapists? First of all, I can tell it's because it says registered, but go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I personally am offering online services right now. I should maybe note that I was doing so well before COVID. So online therapy has always been something that a lot of my clients have taken advantage of, like even when like the weather is not so great, sometimes we will just opt to do that. But you can find me if you search me at caribcounseling.ca. You can find either myself or some other therapists that are offering services, or through my Instagram handle at mindfullyouwellness.com. Or sorry, on Instagram it's at mindfullyouwellness. But yeah, you can always reach out, and personally I offer like a free like short 20-minute consultation. It can be by phone or by video, just to give people a sense of like what the process looks like, and also answer any sort of questions before diving into a therapy session.
I think that makes sense, because you want to basically assess what that person needs, or figure out who they are as a person to a certain extent before you can deliver some form of remedy. So I think I thank you for having this conversation with me, because I know that this is a big topic. A lot of people are suffering out there. It's not only the disease, but it's also affecting everybody else besides the disease, like mentally, and honestly, physically, financially, emotionally, name it all. We're all being affected. And it's really sad at this point. And for anybody's listening or hearing, like, if you are really struggling, I'm not perfect. Nobody else is, like, we're not saying that you like just seek help. Like, you really like talk, or even if you're not struggling, you know, your family members are bad, reach out to them, because I do it once in a while. And even though I'm with somebody, at times, you know, you need that space. You need yourself. So if you know that you need that space for yourself to regain your mental health check, please do so.
Yeah, it's always in your best interest to try to preserve and maintain your mental health as much as possible, and reaching out, whether it's through a therapist, a friend, a family member. There are a ton of resources that, even if you don't have the answers as to how to protect your own mental health or preserve it right now, that there are other people that you can lean on to give you some tips or help with guiding you in the right direction to stabilizing things.
Yeah. Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it. I look forward to our communication in the future.
Very much. I'll be back.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today on our weekly episode on Health Your Way podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share with others, and please feel free to comment below and ask any questions on topics we discussed, as well as future topics you'd like to hear about. Have a happy and healthy week, and be sure to tune in next week for the next episode on a Health Your Own Way podcast.